Hello, welcome to Armchair Judges, a podcast where we will look back at various decisions over the years in boxing, MMA, or whatever, and we will decide whether they are as horrible as people say or not so bad at all. Joining me tonight are my co-hosts, Trevor, say hello.
Hello.
And Aidan.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, we're good.
What's news?
Dead air.
Just jump straight into it then. We have chosen Juan Manuel Marquez versus Manny Pacquiao 1 from MGM Grand Garden Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada, 8th of May 2004. Juan Manuel Marquez is 42-2-0 and Manny Pacquiao is 38-2-1. And this fight is for the WBA and IBF featherweight titles. I had a little look around for odds and purses for this, but I didn't have much luck. Did you have any luck, Aidan?
No, I didn't have any luck. Everything seemed to be pretty much hinting towards Pacquiao just walking through Marquez in the lead up to the fight.
Because he had just starched Barrera previously, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Some other notes I got from the lead up to the fight. Pacquiao was 6-1-1 with 6 knockouts in title fights to this point. Marquez was 2-1 with 1 knockout in title fights to that point. Marquez was bringing the titles.
What was Marquez?
2-1 with 1 knockout in title fights. Yep.
And he was bringing both titles?
Yep.
Didn't Pacquiao win one from Barrera? Or was that at a weight lower?
No, so Marquez was the only title holder in this fight.
Oh, shit.
Well, according to the broadcast at the start anyway, I know at the end they announced Pacquiao's retaining his own title.
That's weird. Yeah, I thought they were bringing one each. On the undercard, I noticed Cotto versus Nadu, which was... I didn't realise Cotto was actually fighting that high level that early. And Anton Eccles was on the undercard, who's only really notable for losing a split decision to Anthony Mundine a year earlier for the super middleweight title. And scrolling through BoxRec, and I saw Butterbean for that day on the undercard of an Ann Wolf fight. There's that.
Giving Butterbean short shrift as he deserves.
Oh, mate. The dude who got outboxed by the fossil of Larry Holmes. And yeah.
He did fight Manuel, man, though.
Did he?
That was, Butterbean. Butterbean tapped him out, I believe.
He tapped him.
Manuel man tapped Butterbean.
Yeah,
How did you just sit on him?
Yeah, he sat on Manuel, man, who I think he got a belly down armbar, if I recall. And he pureed that Butterbean.
So yeah, this is HBO Boxing, which is now defunct, which I kind of didn't remember. And they start off with this little feature, which is interesting. They have a little drive through town and they speak to some of the toothless locals. And I didn't realise Pacquiao was into gambling and not training this early in his career.
To be fair, gambling when you're meant to have other responsibilities is actually pretty fun.
No, it's kind of based. And he's just like not training for weeks at a time, just playing pool all day by the sounds of it.
That sounds like exactly what I would be doing in that sort of a situation.
And he's also acting. Did you notice that? He's doing the movie.
Yeah, I did see that. It looked like a super low quality kung fu film.
How dare you? That movie looked amazing.
I want to see that movie.
I want copies of that on Blu-ray.
I didn't realise he started that so early either. He's only 25 here.
I know, he's a fresh baby-faced young boy.
I think Marquez is already getting a bit older.
He's 30 here, man. He's 30,
yeah.
Which is kind of wild because this is 2004.
So one of the things I noted was they already were pretty much looking past this, which for one seems to happen all the time with bad decisions when they have a big fight coming up, but also for people not performing their full potential.
I had this in my notes as well, like very early on, there seems like a Pacquiao bias, and there's kind of like, oh yeah, there's this other guy, Juan Manuel Marquez.
Yeah.
He's here too.
They're planning a Morales fight already. Eric Morales, the sort of other great Mexican featherweight of this time.
Yeah.
And even when Marquez is walking out, they say it's a pro-Pacquiao crowd, despite there being heaps of Mexicans there.
Yeah, it's Nevada. There's all Mexicans.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if there's like any Filipinos there.
And one of the commentators even says, his mate from Mexico says, once Manny knocks out Marquez, Manny will be a Mexican too.
Really?
Yeah.
I completely missed that.
I did note that, actually.
Did you? Yeah. So, before the fight starts, we get Larry Merchant.
Oh, I actually wrote in my notes here. Sorry, guys, but I actually wrote in my notes here. Larry Merchant, God's help us.
Old drunk Larry.
This guy looks like he's fucking 3 lines of coke and 6 scotches into a fucking bender. And he even says, too much of a good thing is wonderful. Like, we can tell, man. We can tell.
It's funny that as fucked as he looks now, he looked like that in 2004.
He's old. Like, he should be dead.
He's just in a permanent state of being pickled, I think.
Yeah, it's some of the HBO boxing. He's got like the... I kind of miss it. I didn't realise. Like, they do a good job, whatever their problems are, which I'm sure we'll discuss during this. Everything feels like a big fight with HBO. Even the, like, boxing after dark.
Even watching a shitty quality version of the fight on YouTube, you could just tell that big production value was there.
Big fight feel, the music, everything. Alright, so the intro's kind of done. The only person on the panel who I kind of like is Emmanuel Stewart. The rest of them seem heavily pro-Pacquiao.
Yeah, Jim's sort of usually okay in a lot of fights, but everyone's very pro-Pacquiao.
Yeah.
They even think at one point they called him the recognised People's Featherweight Champion of the world. Actually, I think that's how Michael Buffer announced him.
What does that even mean? Like
That means they want him to win.
Yeah,
really.
that means like Bob who's the promoter? Is it Bob Arum?
Not sure I didn't catch it.
Yeah, well, it means whoever's paying for the promotion wants him to win.
Yeah.
Also, I did notice, I'm probably jumping ahead a bit here, I haven't seen that much no fear gear since the late 90s, so that was nice to see in Pacquiao's corner.
Well, it was 2004.
It was only just going out of style.
It was the honorary 90s.
Alright, so...
We want to announce the judges and the referee.
Yes.
So, the referee for the bout was Joe Cortez. Judges Burt Clements from the USA, Guy Jutras from Canada, and John Stewart from the USA.
I almost said John Stewart from The Daily Show, and then... Yep, wrong John Stewart.
So the fight starts, and initially Marquez is looking pretty slick, I thought. He's counter-punching, he's doing the body punching, all that stuff that we know. And then he's not. And he's knocked down 3 times pretty quickly.
Pretty quickly.
My note from that first minute was that he looked good, but his footwork was a bit awkward against the southpaw.
Yeah, and his head movement was a bit non-existent too. But I know we said we wouldn't give away our round-by-round scores, but I think Manny won that first round.
Look, I mean, it was close. Yeah, yeah, sure, you knock a guy down 3 times, but it's pretty close.
I honestly thought that fight was going to be waved off.
Yeah,
The end of that round.
End of that round,
he was hitting hard fucking leather.
It sort of wound up being a really good call from the referee. So a minute 30 in, he was caught with a decent straight left, which he sort of bounced straight back up from. He didn't look badly at
Is that the first knockdown?
The first knockdown.
Yeah, that didn't look too severe.
Yeah, 2 minutes in, I also thought he didn't look too bad on that second knockdown. No, you were saying earlier you thought he was a bit more hurt on that one.
Yeah.
Third time he was down was with 20 seconds left to go in the round.
Did anyone notice that dirty punch by Manny?
Oh, yeah, on the second knockdown. Just like a good hook to the head.
Just not for good measure, mate.
The fair but firm Joe Cortez fucking totally missed that, eh?
Yeah. I usually like Joe as a ref. He is usually fair but firm.
He sort of snuck it in there at the end of the announcing for this one. Eh? It was like, he almost forgot and then called him back. So, I'm firm, I'm fair. So... we might as well say what we had for this round.
It's 10-6.
It's 10. It's got to be 10. Yeah.
I thought the story, pretty much the story of the first 2-3 rounds is like Manny's hand speed is fucking phenomenal. Marquez looks like he's struggling to deal with it, but you do start to see some nice body work from Marquez towards the end of the second.
I thought one thing where he started adjusting really early was straight away. As soon as round 2 started, you could tell he was moving his head a lot more.
Yeah.
Trying to get away from that straight left.
Were you keeping an eye on the CompuBox numbers at all, too?
I've got them noted down a few times when they came up.
Yeah, they always seem low to me when they come up. Like
CompuBox isn't accurate because it works the same way as in amateur boxing.
Is it just someone pressing a button?
It is.
Yeah.
So that's when, but there's no going through replays or anything, no seeing when it definitely landed. Yeah. It's when you think it did, seeing it live.
That's the theme of the show, right? It's like same as judging. Sometimes you got to cut a bit of slack because
we can always go back and rewind.
We can rewind and watch.
No, here's one thing I read about in the judging rules: they have to have their scores done pretty much as soon as the round ends.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be kind of a shit job, to be honest.
Sorry, we're going on with the second round. One other thing with damage, at the end of the first minute, commentators noted that Marquez was bleeding from his nose a lot.
Yeah.
Winds up being a bit of a story in the fight. He's having to keep his mouth open as he's boxing.
Yeah, it looked broken. And then, did you guys pick up this comment from Larry Merchant? He says Marquez is fighting mountains. I think he meant to say Marquez has a mountain to climb.
Yeah. going back to my very, very early notes, Larry, as uninsightful as ever.
He's just fucking smashed.
It must be really hard to be that pissed and do that job.
I think it'd be fucking great. Like, he's got the dream job, man.
Yeah.
He turns up in Vegas, snorts some coke.
Coke, hookers, boxing, what could you want?
He gets a ringside seat and he's just fucking smashed. Fair fucks to him, Larry.
Should we get back
still
into
fucking
it?
annoying, though.
He is fucking annoying. Yep.
So I got for the rest of the second round, my note about Marquez was that his strategy is to counter at the end of Pacquiao's engagements, which he does pretty effectively, and already seems to be causing a little bit of hesitation for
I
Pacquiao.
think not only this fight, the 4 times they fought, that was the story. Manny's aggressive, Pacquiao counters. I mean,
Marquez counters.
Yeah. But,
All right. So
we get into
not
round-
giving our scorecards.
no,
at the end.
I may or may not have forgotten to total my scorecard.
We'll get to that at the end.
So,
we can add it up.
yeah.
Round 3, I didn't notice that the pace slowed dramatically.
This is where I started to see a bit of a resurgence from Marquez and started to see him actually taking control.
And he was frustrating Pacquiao, obviously.
Very much.
And he even wobbled him at the end of the round.
This was a very much like a wave just changing. And
I did sort of see that, and at the end of the round I had a note that after Pacquiao gets hit hard, he sort of runs back towards his corner with his arms up, smiling, as though he's won it.
he's won it.
Yeah.
Where body language might come into it was Marquez sort of still walked back to his corner, like head down, eyes focused, as though he's losing the fight.
That that thing that fighters do, like when they get hit or they like stick their tongue out or put their hands up something, that means it hurt.
Yeah. But in this case, I think because Marquez went back looking like he was having a hard fight, it could have swayed the judges to potentially score that fight, that round the wrong way if they happen to have it wrong, I guess.
At the end of round 3, did you see the ad for Jones Tarver? I can't remember if it was 1 or 2. 2.
I did.
Jones Tarver 2, yeah. Oof. Oof.
It's one we have to get to later. Not 2. Jones
2.
Tarver 1.
Oh, 1, yeah. Not much point reviewing 2.
One thing earlier in this round, Jim talks about the punch stats. We didn't have the CompuBox show up on the screen.
Or?
Yeah, okay, Jim.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry,
Jim.
if we're talking about OK Jim as in Letterman, all he said was that he had round 2 for Pacquiao as well.
Yeah.
Jim himself said Pacquiao threw 77 punches to Marquez's 45 in round 2.
Yeah.
Which he says could mean the judges have him 5 points ahead. But it was Pacquiao threw 77 punches.
Yeah.
Still, how much you factor in his aggression compared to whoever was landing the more effectively is up for debate.
This is, I think, a theme that will be pretty prominent, really.
In the entire series of fights.
But which one is Jim?
Jim Lampley.
Is he because there's Lampley, Merchant, and who's the other guy?
We had Stewart in this one.
Stewart, and there's
Is he usually
Kellerman.
Courier?
Kellerman? Is it Kellerman?
Oh yeah, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim is Jim Courier, isn't he?
Jim Lampley. Is Jim Lampley like the main guy who does the talking? Like, I think he is. Yeah.
Jim Lampley.
Yeah.
Who's Jim Courier?
I don't fucking know.
I thought you guys knew.
Round 4. Again, I thought this. Well, everything kind of looks slow from
Everything looks slow.
like the first 2 rounds, which I thought was like pretty high pace. Again, the punch stats are like fucking phenomenally close. And these are the kind of rounds, especially when these 2 fight, the styles mesh, like the aggressive counter-puncher kind of mix. The punch stats are so close that some of these rounds are near impossible to
So
score.
the punch stats had shown Marquez landing more, but Pacquiao throwing more.
But aren't the landed stats like, there was hardly anything in it, I think. Like,
I think it was pretty narrow.
Yeah.
But one thing I noted in between the rounds was Marquez's corner said to him he won the second and third round, which Harold Lederman and Emmanuel Stewart both had it 2-1 Pacquiao at that point.
Yeah.
Marquez's jab started to be a lot more effective in this round, I think. He started snapping Manny's head back a fair bit with the jab.
Again, this is just Marquez just establishing control.
Yeah. Doing what he does.
And even Emmanuel Stewart starts to point that out as well. 2 minutes in, he points out that Marquez is really just focusing on countering the left.
He seemed like the only guy on the broadcast who talked about Marquez the whole fucking
this
time.
going
He was the
into the
only
fight, it was very like...
It's all Pacquiao.
We're just assuming it's all Pacquiao.
I think they thought this was going to be a walkover.
Yeah, they definitely did.
Yeah.
They didn't encounter that fucking granite chin.
No. Going into round 5, this wasn't so much just a note of round 5, but I noticed that just in general, and in Pacquiao in general in his career, he doesn't do any body work. Rarely does he. You see, he throws a couple of straights to the body, but he never invests in the body. Like, he's a headhunter. And this is where I think Marquez's body work starts to, like, he really starts to invest in the body. And there's a moment at 155 where Pacquiao attempts a body shot and immediately, like, straight after, eats a massive counter. And I think that's kind of why he doesn't go.
Yeah, this is also the round where Pacquiao gets a cut above his eye.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that was the one where I've got a note here of Marquez gets a hard right hand in and snaps his head back, and it was really eye-catching.
Is that the one that looks...
eye-catching.
Is that the one where his head, like, shakes really violently back and it looks like he's wobbled? But, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like he wobbled, but it was probably... He didn't look that wobbled to me out on the... You know, in the few seconds after it.
But my notes here still... A lot of this is same, because it's... Marquez frustrates Pacquiao a lot, but Pacquiao is still able to land heavy shots sporadically, and sometimes that's enough to
that was
win those rounds.
Kind of the story of this fight, though, really.
I think it was the story of the fourth fight.
The fourth fight, yeah.
So, that's the fourth.
This is what happens when you get a headhunter and a counterpuncher.
Pretty much.
His fifth round, though, might have been Marquez's best round for the power punches. Like, I had that big right hand at the start of it, but he also landed a couple right at the end of the round.
Yeah.
And then Manny tried to engage with some countering and copped another one. Jim commented Marquez won the round big, and he's open to cut above Pacquiao's eye at this point as well.
Yeah, so at this point, it's looking close, but that 10-6 round,
hard to come back from.
It's real hard to come back from. He's got to punch him out, as Larry Merchant would say. Halfway point, round 6.
Round 6.
I think this is another round where all these rounds are fucking tough, man.
It's much the same. I did note here there was a really nice shot to the body by Pacquiao, but Marquez gave him a massive receipt with a big right. So
yeah,
and then really put him into the ropes there.
Is it? I think is this a round where did Pacquiao get wobbled again this round? Maybe, yeah.
I think he might have.
So he landed a nice body shot, and Marquez came back with this big right hand.
Emmanuel Stewart makes a note in this round as well. He says, makes a comment, sorry. Marquez has clean precision punches, eye-catching to the judges, and always catches him with his head straight up.
Yeah. When you watch these fights, like, Marquez is probably the best combination puncher I've ever fucking seen. Ever.
He was the only one who, like, for me, when you look at the combination punches like Sugar Ray Leonard, they were still throwing largely. It was like left hook, right hook, left hook, right hook. Whereas Marquez will throw just weird shit. Whatever opens up
body,
to him.
head, yeah. And Ray Leonard would throw a lot of, like, fluff, if you know what I mean. Like, it would be eye-catching, nothing shots on gloves. It looks cool, but Marquez is better, I reckon.
Yeah. I reckon he's got the most variety of any sort of combination puncher ever. He's probably the best one ever.
Yeah. I didn't really take any notes around 7 except for tough to score.
Yeah, that's the theme of my notes, really.
Yeah.
I did get here some nice shots by Marquez. A good left by Pacquiao, who's actually really starting to tighten it up a bit.
Yeah.
I noticed in the last few rounds he wasn't able to get any sort of timing, and he just seemed
he was just getting countered the whole time.
He just had no confidence, and this is a round where he started to sort of tighten it all up and find his confidence again.
The comments between rounds sort of backed it up. Nacho Berestein said that Marquez's trainer said these won rounds 2 to 5. As Freddie Roach is saying to Manny that he needs to start backing him up again by going with the double jab and backing him up with the left.
Yeah, it's kind of telling her.
Yeah. There was a lot of that throughout the fight from Freddie Roach just saying, don't let him establish control, and by that point it was already too late.
I did note that I thought the referee was great. I didn't see him. I didn't even notice he was there the whole fight. Like, he didn't...
You know, I didn't notice that, but in hindsight, looking back, that's a really good point.
There was no fucking... He didn't...
There was no unnecessary stoppage.
He wasn't needed, to be fair, but he done a good job of just staying the fuck out of the way. And did you guys see the ad for Mayweather Corley?
I did.
In this? Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Did you see what was Corley wearing? He had like a wig on.
Yeah, I don't know. It was some sort of elaborate headdress.
He looked like fucking Lex Luger, but black.
Like Lex Luger, but cool. Let's be honest. Fuck Lex Luger.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
This round
He killed me.
hard to score as well, though.
Is that still round 7?
Yeah, round 7.
Yeah.
We had that moment where Pacquiao's getting in a couple of really hard lefts in the one exchange. I think Marquez was throwing a combination and copped a couple right in the middle of it.
Yeah. I think at the start of round 9, they show the punch stats again, and they've, percentage-wise, they've barely changed. It's extremely close.
Yeah.
Extremely close. It's
Just going into round 8 briefly. Was there some sort of head clash? Because, again, I was watching a shitty quality version on YouTube. There was a moment where the referee separated them and Marquez seemed to sort of indicate to his head a bit.
I don't know. Do you have notes about it?
Going through my notes, the one sort of big note I've got for this round is in the last minute. Say Jim has it the same as me. The most tactical round so far, both fighters on their toes. Someone has to land some punches and win it.
Yeah. Well, there could have been a head clash because it's a southpaw orthodox fight and that.
Yeah, there was just, I don't know what it was. Again, it was shitty quality, but there was a moment where the referee sort of got involved and Marquez just sort of indicated to his head.
Must have been the only time that the referee actually got involved.
So the input from the corners after round 8 was from Nacho Beristain saying to Marquez he can't afford to lose any rounds. Freddie Roach said to Pacquiao, you have to be the boss out there, reinforcing that point from earlier if you got to start backing him up again.
Yeah, so they both corners sound kind of concerned. Round 9, it was like Larry Merchant said at the start of round 9, Marquez is prepared to make a war of it. It's like the fucking say that at the start of the fight, bro. Like, the fight's nearly over.
I have copious notes on my disdain for Larry Merchant, but it's not even worth going into at this point.
This is going to be a thing, I think. Like, anytime he's on HBO, like,
just drunk Larry.
He's just a fucking idiot. Like,
just get the man some wild turkey and tell him to be quiet.
Yeah. I thought this fight was close, but this round again was close.
Yeah,
it's pretty quiet, but there's a bit of good action at the end. And also at the end of this round, again in the corners, there's concern in both corners. They're both kind of saying, can you step up?
I think this was a round where I did what the judges can't do and rewound the last, I think it was 35 seconds, pretty much all the action happened in that round.
I've done that a few times.
Yeah, I did that a few times throughout the fight.
So, the championship round. Is it 10, 9, 11?
No, we're on round 9.
Oh, shit.
We're going into round 10.
Yeah. Manuel Stewart's comment at the start of this round was lately Marquez has been the only one really throwing punches. Pacquiao's just moved around a lot.
Yeah.
And when he moves around a lot, he doesn't really box.
No. He just kind of throws those nothing feigning jab kind of things that he does, you know, that, yeah.
There was a funny comment from Drunk Larry in this one when they started talking about how effective Marquez was. And Larry's like, that's why I called this round even.
He's so effective, I couldn't even give it to him.
Just fuck off, Larry.
He's such a fucking clown, that guy. Oh, Jesus Christ. I forget where we're up to now.
We are
still talking about round 9.
Fucking Larry.
Just started on it.
Derailed by Larry Merchant.
Again.
Yeah, this was a hard round to score.
Yeah.
I think I had this as one of my harder rounds to score in the fight.
This from an already hard to score fight. From this round onwards, it just gets really, really hard.
Yeah, there were about 6 rounds in this fight which I struggled to score, and so some of them I just gave even. To be honest,
There was one exchange where Pacquiao had the better of a combination, landed really effectively, and then Marquez just countered with a really hard right.
Yeah.
So how do you
score that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is like a honest question. Like, how do you score that? Like, do you give it to the guy who lands 2 or 3 okay punches, or the one big punch? Like, is that a personal referee bias?
It can be anything, and even sometimes when I'm scoring, I'll just write the winner of an exchange.
Yeah.
And in the last few seconds, I've got Pacquiao exchange, even exchange, Marquez exchange.
Yeah.
I went out of my way to not give 10-10s.
Really?
Yeah.
It's technically something you're meant to do, but if you absolutely can't get anything other than a 10-10.
Yeah. I am not afraid to give a 10-10. Right?
I'm not afraid to give a 10-10, but I just wanted to... I really wanted to find something in each round that I could try and give something a point for.
But
this was 10 rounds. This
was a challenge. I got a couple in there.
I think I had 2. But I also feel like you shouldn't just give someone a round just because. If you think it's even, call it even. Like it.
But the bit of judging guidance I read, which is from the Nevada State Athletic Commission, says that if you've got a round 10-10, you should really be watching for the last bits of the round, sort of, if someone gets in something effective, then they're the winner. But sometimes that just doesn't happen.
Isn't that the cliche, like win the last 30 seconds kind of thing? Like Sugar Ray Leonard, famous for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
The flurries in the last 30 seconds. You see it in like MMA as well, like the dudes will go for the takedown with 30 seconds to go, even though
just lie on top of them.
Yeah, essentially useless.
So going into round 10, Harold Lederman has that round 10 on Pacquiao, has it 86-82.
To Pacquiao. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. My notes, I'm going to be honest, for the last 3 rounds were extremely light. But I did notice in round 10 that I disagreed with the way that the commentary was calling the fight at that point. Or in that round, in particular.
So yeah, I've got it. Some of the early notes from the corner. Freddie Roach says to Manny that his jab and his hook are working well and he needs to do more of it. Nacho Berestein says he's not doing much with his left hand, but be careful of it, to Juan Manuel Marquez.
Sound advice.
Yeah. I think Marquez came out his most aggressive in this round. Just straight up tried to knock his head off with the right. But it got blocked. That's sort of one of the things I found in this fight. Like, I hadn't watched many Pacquiao fight for a while, but he always sort of has a reputation of just a guy who has a lot of footwork and then hits you with a hard right when he creates an angle. Hard left, sorry. But his defence actually was pretty good in this fight, especially his head movement.
In general, like, I don't know if it's purposeful, like, he's like really consciously moving his head, or it's just the way that he bounces, to be honest. Because he bounces around a lot.
He is a bouncy boy.
He is a bouncy boy. He's just like, his fighting style is weird. Like, it's not like conventional.
Yeah,
it's weird.
This is where the commentators seem to start getting a bit concerned for Pacquiao's fight schedule as well. A minute into round 10, they start talking about him having an ambitious fight schedule with 9 months between the fight with Pereira and the planned fight with Morales.
That is a fucking murderer's row, though.
Yeah.
Absolute murderer's row. Like,
and straight up a bad idea.
Probably
more in hindsight.
Yeah. Probably outside of Chavez, it's probably the 3 greatest Mexicans of all time.
Yeah. I reckon any of them would give Chavez a pretty awesome fight.
Yeah.
At the very least, an entertaining one.
Love to see it.
Yeah.
You never see it. What are we up to now? Round 11?
Round 11.
Round 11, Jesus Christ.
El Championship round.
This round was a little slow, I thought, compared to...
Yeah, this was, I think both guys getting, fatigue was settling in.
You can tell in this round and the next round, like, they're both wrecked. They're fucked.
But, I mean... There's no denying both guys just put everything into this one.
Oh, yeah.
And it shows a entertaining as hell fight.
It was an interesting comment going into it, though. Nacho Berestein says to Marquez, 6 more minutes and you win. So clearly at this point, he thinks his fight is well ahead. I do think they are getting pretty tired at this point, though.
Yeah, the action's not as good in these Especially this round, round 11, I thought it wasn't so great.
It wasn't. There was a bit at the end, though, where both guys sort of landed some pretty nice shots.
Yeah.
But overall, a very, very sluggish round.
Yeah. Which you'll excuse, because
they've just given it everything tonight.
I want to talk about Letterman, though. Like, coming into this round here.
Okay, Jim.
He has Pacquiao winning the last 4 rounds pretty clearly, and has 96-91 Pacquiao.
I noticed that.
So he's got like a unassailable lead by a knockout kind of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
But, like,
I don't
that's-
think anyone else has an unassailable lead for Pacquiao. Well, maybe someone does.
We'll see.
Well, in the industry, we call that foreshadowing.
I can see how you could give all those rounds to Pacquiao, to be fair.
This was a really close fight.
Yeah.
They're all the closest rounds, but throughout the whole fight, Jim has seemed to be like, if it's a close round, it's a Pacquiao round.
Yeah, I mean, this is a HBO thing. And not just a HBO thing, like, this is a TV broadcast in boxing thing. It's like, we have the house fighter, and he's going to win. No, I know you like Canelo a lot, but Canelo gets his fucking same treatment now.
He does.
That is
And
a
he's
valid
like,
point.
if there's a close fight, he's winning that fight. Even if he's not winning, he's winning. Like, against Mayweather. Like,
That Mayweather fight, I was going to say we should cover that, but that was painful.
that is the single
We
worst.
do need to cover that.
That is the single worst scorecard.
When I was watching it live, I remember I was at a little pub in France, and I was absolutely smashed. I was in there, yeah. And I was trying to give rounds to Canelo because I'm a Canelo fan.
he was
when I was trying to give him
drunk.
rounds, I only gave him 2 rounds because Mayweather pretty much decided not to throw anything for a couple of rounds. He just let land.
Yeah, that
landed
was
one good shot. And
that
he's
was an
like, I'm
ugly
done.
fight.
It was fucking horrific, man.
I
That's-
tried giving Canelo a round and I couldn't. It was ugly.
I had a shout out.
Yeah.
I think. I'd have to watch it.
I reckon
again,
it would
but
be. We should watch it again and see
Yeah,
just
yeah.
how bad the scorecard
We'll find
is.
out the name of that judge and fucking lock
Wasn't
him
it
up.
Adelaide Bird?
I don't know.
Yeah, she's made
Whoever it is
a
is
fair
fucking-
few horrendous decisions across both boxing and MMA.
Does she
if I
do it?
recall.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Because I think she did.
Did.
Kind of like she did boxing, and everyone's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, fuck that.
Whoever it is, they fucking should have their license taken off them. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They have a license? Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, we could do a better job.
Yes, and we've been sinking beers all afternoon.
Shh.
So I
Judging.
had Marquez rallying a fair bit in this round, getting back to what had been, getting him back in the fight.
Yeah.
In that earlier half of the fight.
Is this still 11? Yeah?
Yep, round
Yeah,
11. He's jabbing really well in this round and counters a lot as well. Just all those counters, whenever Pacquiao's wanting to throw a straight left, he just ends with a combination from Marquez.
Yeah. And the last round of the fight.
Alright, guys, straight off the bat, I got so captivated by this round that I didn't score it.
I go with some comments from
I have
Porter
in my
going into
notes,
this
sorry, I
one.
just want to say in my notes here. I said I forgot to score it. I just hope both guys had fun.
They sure looks like they're having
And I
fun.
scored it a 10-10 because I forgot to score it. So
They look like they're having fun. I mean, what's
You know,
fun than getting punched in the head?
To go with what the corners were saying to their fighters going into that round, though. From Nacho Beristain was, you've got it now, you're up by 3 points. Talking to Juan Manuel Marquez.
Really?
Freddie Roach says to Pacquiao, we need this round badly, you've got to drop him.
Really?
Yeah.
I fucking completely missed that.
yeah, I missed that one too. Actually, again,
But the other end of that, Letterman has it 105 to 101 Pacquiao.
Yeah. See, this fight is impossible, I think, to be called a bad decision because the consensus is so far one way or the other.
Yeah, and I think we've actually, between us, got very different scorecards. I reckon it's going to wind up being very
Can I
very
just
I
quickly,
almost guarantee
can I
you.
quickly borrow a
Yeah.
pen and paper off someone so I can actually attempt to round up my scores here?
Yeah.
Because I goofed.
So then the fight ends, and do you want to give us the honour of reading the official decision and the judges who gave these scores?
Yes, please scramble for time.
Sorry about that ripping sound, guys. That was
Just ripping apart.
all right. Wait, one. Before that, so the crowd, I thought was booing Marquez a bit when he stood on the ropes, but then later on, I thought they booed Pacquiao as well.
Yeah, and maybe there was some Filipinos there. Who knows?
Yeah.
Mexicans of the Orient.
And Drunk Larry, despite not really scoring rounds goes, I had Pacquiao winning post-fight. He also spent ages in that fight talking about how well Marquez was doing, and then comes up at the end with, I think Pacquiao won.
Fucking Larry. So, what were the official scores here?
So, the official scores, Judge Stewart had it 115 to 110 Pacquiao.
Yeah.
Guy Jutras had it 115 to 110 Marquez. Notable thing in this is he had...
10-round swing. 10-point swing, sorry. Unbelievable.
Wait, sorry, that's not the judge I'm thinking of. Yeah, but 10-point swing there. Clements was the one with a controversial card. Yeah, he scored at 113 a draw.
Yeah.
He scored round 1 at 10-7.
Yeah.
He said...
Big boo-boo. Big boo-boo.
Yeah, he said after the fight, the day after, they asked him about it, and he said he didn't know you can score a 10-6 round.
So if he gave it a 10-6, Pacquiao would have won it.
Yeah, would have won 113, 112 on his card.
Yeah. Fair call.
I did look up the rules on that, and the judges do recommend never scoring anything below a 10-6.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Which I interpret to mean do not score anything below a 10-6.
I interpret that to mean if it's lower, the fight's getting waved off.
Yeah.
Basically.
It'd have to be, unless there's some serious luck with flash knockdowns.
So, before we get into our decision, and our decisions are always correct, keep that in mind.
They are.
They're always correct. Did you enjoy the fight?
I did enjoy the fight. It's one of the better fights from the 21st century.
Yeah. I fucking love this fight. It was great. It had everything. It had all the knockdowns at the start. It had everything you expect from Marquez, the body punching, the counter punching. Pacquiao was aggressive. The crowd was fucking hot. Even the commentary wasn't too bad, even though it was pretty heavily biased, I thought, but
had the drama, not only in the fight, but in the backing to the fight as well.
My scores in, yes, this was a supremely entertaining fight.
Yeah. Okay, so our scorecards. Who wants to go first? Maybe we'll read our cards first, and then we'll go through which rounds you gave.
Yeah, okay. We'll go through some post-fight stuff as well.
Yeah.
All right.
My scorecard is 111, 116, Manny Pacquiao.
We definitely have some differences. I've got 114, 112 for Marquez.
Oof.
I may have made a maths mistake.
You're just missing a 10, bro.
Yeah.
So
let's do that. Actually, you know what, that works. So 115, 113. To Juan Manuel.
Oh fuck! So we have a split decision victory for Juan Manuel Marquez.
Yeah,
you guys suck.
You suck.
Clearly, we don't suck because we clearly picked the winner. You loser.
The rounds. I went rounds 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, and 12.
Should we go by round? Talk about who had who winning each round.
I was just going to you say who you had.
Yeah. Well, my notes are kind of screwy, so let's do that.
I had 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 12 for Pacquiao. 3, 5, 6, 10 for Marquez. And 11 and 4 even.
Alright. So I don't have mine all on the same page, so bear with me for a second. Obviously we had round 1, 10-6 Pacquiao.
No.
I had round 2 for Marquez. Round 3 Marquez, 4 Pacquiao. 5 Marquez. That's the point where I think the fight became even. 6 Marquez.
Yeah, same as me.
Round 7 Pacquiao.
Yeah.
That again made the fight even, 65-65. Round 8 Marquez. Round 9 even. Got round 10 Pacquiao. That again made the fight even. No, sorry, they've been even for a little while because the previous round was a draw. Round 11 had for Marquez. And round 12 I had 10-9 for Marquez.
Alright, so we've already established I can't do numbers. And we're about to establish that I can't do words, letters, the fucking rest of it. So round 1, big shock for you guys here. I actually scored this round 10-6.
No.
Okay.
Get out,
I know. So that was a Pacquiao round. Round 2 I gave 10-9 to Pacquiao. Round 3 I gave it to Marquez 10-9. As I did with round 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Oof.
9. 10 I gave it a draw. 11 Marquez, and 12 I kind of goofed and forgot to score and gave it a draw. So I should probably confess a little bit of a bias. I am a big Marquez fan. And
we didn't talk about our biases.
We're meant to. That's one of the things we'd always spoken about. We're meant to clear biases pre-fight.
I thought I was able to score this pretty impartially because I really like both guys a lot, and
I tried. It was just that close of a goddamn fight that it was so hard to be objective.
Yeah.
I think I scored impartially because I'd go and rewind stuff if I wasn't sure who was winning. I did try to score very impartially, but you should know I'm a big Marquez fan.
Yeah.
So.
I guess based on that, it's pretty hard to call this decision bad because we basically had as wide a spread as the judges did.
We did this for a bit of a laugh, and it was hard. I do not envy the judges that actually had to do it on the night.
I mean, I do. They got paid, let's be fair.
The only thing I can say is really bad about this judging call was Judge Clemens, who didn't know that you can score a 10-6 round.
That
should probably know the rules if you're judging.
That seems like a bit of an oversight.
I thought the judge who pretty much gave every round to Marquez was...
It was that guy Jutras.
This guy.
Had it 115, 110.
It was Judge Trev.
Well, I just had a bit of a stiffy for Marquez. Get over it.
So
Jutras had...
1-on-1.
Jutras had a 115, 110 for Marquez, but also had 10 of the last 11 rounds of the fight going to Marquez.
Oh, shit.
Well, I guess one thing we can say is Marquez really found himself in this fight. I guess it takes Juan to know Juan. I apologise for nothing.
I didn't think the decision was that bad. If we've got cards as wild as they do, to be honest.
Even in the punches, I think the
stats were close at the end as well.
Yeah, the stats had Marquez leading 120 to 100 for power punches, but I think they had Pacquiao leaning for overall punches.
Yeah.
Winning for overall punches.
So, all I can say, the decision isn't that bad. I really remember, this fight, I should have probably asked at the start. This was before I started watching boxing, hardcore.
Yeah.
I started about 2005, 2006, really watching boxing. But this fight always had, legendary status.
Yeah.
I remember when the rematch was announced, people were fucking pumped. It's
I wasn't even
took 4
watching
years
MMA at this point, and it took me a long time to go from just MMA to actually going to watching and appreciating boxing as well. So I probably...
boxing,
06, 07 for me.
Yeah. Boxing was kind of considered the old man's kind
It was, and it was they can't...
uncool.
It's not really fighting because you can't. What would happen if one of them got taken down and it takes a long time to go, it's not the fucking point.
Yeah, it's really not. Yeah, like I said, even though Trevor gave most of the rounds to Marquez, I don't think you can say it's fair or unfair either way. It's hard to score. At the end of the day, draw was probably the fairest thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
both Jim and Emmanuel Stewart said they don't see it as a huge controversy except for the 10-6 round.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. That's a bad fuck up.
One thing that does annoy me a little bit with Pacquiao, in the post-fight interview, he says that he was a bit hampered by his foot hurting in rounds 3, 4 and 8. And he goes, I couldn't move. I hurt it 2 weeks before the fight. I slipped and fell. Everyone always seems to have an injury that they sustained in training camp. Every time they have a decision not go their way.
Has there ever been, recently at least, a big fight where the loser hasn't had an injury in training camp?
No.
Has there ever?
No.
Yeah.
Like Conor McGregor when he broke his leg the second Dana White
I broke my leg too.
We're doing Cowboys already. Yeah, I came off my 4-wheeler fucking bike and ripped out most of my intestines. I'll be good for fight night.
It'll be right.
She'll be sweet, mate.
Do we want to talk about what we think each fighter could have done to sort of make it go their way a bit more?
As a general rule, yes, but for this fight, that's impossible.
All right, so
there was absolutely no time delay there, no pause whatsoever.
I did not take a shit.
I did. A real growler.
So, what do we think each fighter could have done to really convincingly win that fight?
Honestly, they just gave everything they had.
Yeah,
I really can't.
The only note I did have was Pacquiao could have invested more in the body, but it didn't seem feasible because every time he tried, he ate a counter. So, I don't know. Marquez could have... There were some rounds where he took his foot off the gas a bit, but he's probably just knackered, dude, to be honest. I don't know what else he could have done.
I think he just needed to come out a bit more cautious. That first round, he wasn't moving his head.
No.
And really, I think on most people's scorecards, if he hadn't have been dropped in the first round, he probably would have won the fight pretty comfortably.
I think even on mine, like, give him 4 points. Actually, because of the 2 even rounds, it still probably would have been a draw, I think. But either way, like, you're right, in most people's cards, without that first round, he probably wins pretty handily. Right?
I think the flaw for Pacquiao was what Emmanuel Stewart was saying, was that he was sort of spamming his straight left a fair bit.
Yeah, well, he does that.
Yeah, he just needed more variety in his attacks, and I reckon he would have been pretty sweet.
Yeah.
All right, want to talk about the next fight we're going to do?
Next fight. Are we going to do 2? Because it's shorter?
It might not be shorter because the rounds are longer.
Okay,
That is actually a
Gotta be
really valid
yeah.
point.
Well, we're definitely going to do Carlos Condit versus Robbie Lawler. We might do something else, we might not. But that's definitely the next one.
I am very pumped for that one.
Same. I love that fight.
That
I
is
love
such
that
a good fight.
I think I was real drunk the first time I watched it.
I
don't
was,
really remember.
I was fucking hammered. But I was had my wits enough to know who I thought won at the time. But that's a bridge we'll cross when we get to it. Yeah.
I guess in closing, maybe the real story was the friends we made along the way.
Yes.
We've got email in the description if you've got any feedback, any suggestions for future fights. If you think we scored this in a really terrible way, let us know.
And,
put comments on it if you're watching it on YouTube.
And
If
follow
anyone
us
wants
on Facebook at Armchair Judging on Facebook. You'll be able to find us in a couple of days.
And if anyone wants to sponsor us, we are just completely willing to whore ourselves out.
I'm not quite willing to hold myself out, but yes, let's go with that.
Shekels.